Bitch, worry.
In the 1950s, Alice and Jack live in an idealized community of Victory, an experimental company town that houses the men who work on top secret project. While the husbands toil away, the wives get to enjoy the beauty, luxury, and debauchery of their seemingly perfect paradise. However, when cracks in their idyllic life begin to appear, exposing flashes of something sinister lurking below the surface, Alice can't help but question exactly what she's doing in Victory. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the summary of Don't Worry, Darling. If it's your first time joining us, me and Jason do a thing called a one-sentence review. It's where we review this movie in one sentence. Jason, what is your one-sentence review of Don't Worry, Darling?
Bitch, worry.
I like that. My one-sentence review of Don't Worry, Darling is, even when the woman has a perfect life, she still got to find shit wrong.
A little bit sexist, but okay.
Look, I got a lot of beefs with this movie, man, and I'm just gonna keep it real. The first major beef I got with this is the plot. And
oh my god,
I'm a guy that tries to. I'm gonna take what you give me and keep going with it as long as it's justified, entertaining, and has an end point and a means. I was when I was into the movie, I was fully in. And just like Alice, I just started seeing the cracks in the movie. And I was just sitting around and I'm like, hold on, that don't make sense. Well, why would I do that with that? And then when you get to the twist, which you are not going to spoil, I mean, we'll probably wait later on to the video and maybe spoil some of the twists. But once you get to the twist, I'm like, I have way more questions now that will never be answered because I hope this never gets a sequel. And Ryan said it was great. My biggest beef with the movie is the drama surrounding the production is more entertaining than the movie itself. He is a 1,000,000% right. 1,000,000% right. This story, that's the sad part about it, is it's one of those movies that it had potential. It has a lot of nuggets that work so well, that fit so well, but then it seems like they ran out of ideas and we're like, we don't know how to tie these all things together to make it make sense. So we'll just go to the end. And there we go. And here we are. We're at the end now. And you got to accept this because we just went to the credits. So
damn be the implications of what's actually going on and how the horror of what's, literally like, who cares to resolve the rest of these stories? Like, nope, let's just end. And like, also after the twist, like, oh yeah, after this, none of this makes any sense. Like now, like that's not how things work, because if you just think about it for 2 seconds, she probably shouldn't have the outcome that she had. And then also, like, it completely falls apart. Like once she figures out what's going on, then everybody starts to figure out what's going on. And it just, it doesn't make, like, for me, like, I enjoyed, like, Chris Pine. I enjoyed him. He was fun.
Great.
I think he should play more villains in movies. Just like the right amount of charming, but the right amount of smarm. Florence Pugh, she's always good. In whatever she does, the performances aren't bad. Like, even Nick Kroll's in this for some reason. I don't know why, but like Harry Styles. I mean, like the performances aren't bad, but it's like when you start, like, firstly, the whole first half of the movie is kind of boring. Like nothing really is going on besides, this young lady just going, this doesn't seem right. And you're like, yeah, of course it doesn't seem right because, and they killed the only black person the whole entire thing.
Well, that was the first moment I was like, this don't seem right. This is the 1950s. Y'all just hanging out with these ninjas? Like, y'all cool with this ninja being at y'all party? Like, this definitely seems like a whites only location. But so it's almost like the story was second to the thought process of all the. I guess this is the best way to say it. Olivia Wilde is a very proficient person at making a movie. Like that, the movie looks good, it feels good. The moments and the symbolism works. It just feels like the script was never strong enough to hold everything else that was going on with it. And it almost felt like they were like, yeah, the script's not good, but your performances are really good. So just lean into the performances.
We can just ignore
it. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. it felt like just something like an extra 20 minutes in this movie was missing that might have tied some things up a little better. Now, I'm not saying I wanted to watch 20 more minutes of this movie, but it just felt like it was missing 20 more
No, there's
minutes
definitely.
to make it
I
more
was definitely
confident.
ready for this movie to be over when it was over. Also, I think also there's one thing that is probably on the director's side that is lacking is that none of the scenes or anything really informs to what the twist is going to be. Like, there's nothing there in the beginning of the movie that says, and I understand, like, you know, you don't want to give it away in the beginning of the movie that there's going to be a twist or whatever, but you should leave some sort of hints and clues that cleverly hidden that you would like. There's this one point in the movie where I thought they might have done that. The scene where Jack gets a promotion and he's dancing, and I thought maybe that Chris Pine had said his name wrong a couple of times, and I was like, oh, maybe that's it. But then I looked it up, and it's like, nope, he said it right. So, like, there was nothing like, especially what the twist is. I think there should have been something that should have at least one scene or something that should have, like, you know, not signposted, but like if you go back and look at it again, you're like, oh, now I see that this is why this is ending up the way it is. And I don't feel like that's anything that happens to Alice doesn't really like, it's all really just her just being like, everything's wrong, and everybody's like, no, it's fine. Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, and there's nothing really like there to give her the impetus to be like, oh, this is what the twist is going to be. I don't know. It's just I feel like it's two different movies once the twist happens, and you know, nothing leads up to the twist for me.
And I guess, and you may feel the same way. For me, the more interesting movie is once she's like the movie ends, I'm wondering how like she's gonna get out of that situation.
Yeah,
she's dead. Then
she's still dead.
The other one, it's like, what is that movie? It was I saw it on Netflix. Is where the husband and wife were having some friction, and they went to this exotic place.
Gerald's Game.
Yes. I felt like I'm more interested in watching that. Like,
they did do a movie about that. It's called Gerald's Game,
and it's way more entertaining. Yeah, and like you said before, I mean, just going to the performances. I mean, the performances are top notch. I think everybody does their best to pull the weight of the situation pretty well. I can't really. I mean, the only thing that I thought was off-putting was Chris Pine's wife near the end, like that scene.
Jimmer Chan.
Yeah, like I didn't know why that was there because they never showed anything to lead there. It just happened.
Yeah, all the stuff at the end just happens, and it doesn't seem like there's any sort of like, you know, moment where it should be like, oh, they figured it all out. No, it's just like, nope. She's now aware.
Right. And I think most people are going to think about it because you're going to look at the preview of this and you go, oh, well, it seems very thriller-esque or suspenseful. I don't remember any moment in there where I felt any kind of, like, I guess, thrill or suspense that I felt was worthy of the movie being, like, shown that way. It just, I was just there for the ride and then was hoping it was going to get better, and it just did not. And I just... It's one of those reviews where, you know, I never tell anybody not to go see a movie. So I think that's one of the I think going to see a movie is all part of the ambiance of it, not just seeing the movie itself. But, yeah, this is a tough one, man. This is a tough one because it has so much potential.
The one time that I actually felt some actual tension in this movie was the dinner scene where she invites everybody after she does everything, and Chris Pine's like, do you know? Do you know? This would be awesome if you know. Oh, shit, you don't know. I'm out.
right. Yeah, or just the fact that, like, she posed these questions to people and were doing it, and now we know why a certain group was like, oh, what are you doing? But, like, the women should have been like, that is interesting. Like, that is pretty weird that they were just like, oh, you crazy lady. Like, what? You're crazy for pointing out how you all met and how it just feels all familiar, and you guys never thought about that all you guys have almost the same stories, but it's just in a different city. And like, it should have been more skepticism. It almost made it feel like, how did this thing last this long? Did you get a bunch of dumbass women? And like they just were like, "Ooh, I guess I'm just
no,"
fine.
because Alice is a fucking doctor.
Right. Also, what kind of doctor it is that they live in the way they live in? Because
who live in hand to mouth? You are a surgeon. You are like, how you like? Oh, my boyfriend lost his job. I don't know what we're gonna do. Like,
I gotta pick up extra shifts. Like, what? What are you like doing this pro bono? Are you doing this for free? Like,
they pay you $200,000 a year just to show up, like, and do nothing. Like, come on.
Look, man, I watched too many episodes of Scrubs to be thinking they live in that broke. Like,
one of the biggest down things about this movie is that it does present some interesting stuff into it, and and that's where you're like, oh, that story would be interesting. Like, they could have done more with Olivia Wilde's character Bunny, and like how she was dealing with this ordeal, and that would have been an interesting story. What happens after this thing ends is an interesting story. The story they present to us.
Well, technically, we know what happens after this. She goes and finds a book that has dark arts in it. She decides to travel through multiverses to find those kids. Yeah, we know how her story is. Sorry.
Yeah, where she finds those kids in different universes, and then she becomes a villain for some reason. But it's just like the story they presented to us wasn't that good of a story, and that's the most damning part about this movie. Even though everybody does a good job.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and jump to the rating system. So if you guys are joining us again, we usually try to rate them. We will rate the movie for 3 categories and then give our overall rating at the end. If we like it a lot, we give it some head. If we think it's a mid, we'll give it a cannon. And if we think it's just straight clown shoes, we give it a circus. Jason, what would you give the plot?
We got to explain to our boomer listeners what mid means.
It's just okay. It may be a low below average, but just okay.
Actually, I think nowadays mid is actually bad.
It pretty much is at this point.
Yeah.
But
all right, I'm sorry to keep interrupting.
I like using the word. No, it's fine. It's your show too. Please take the floor. The plot. What would you give the plot?
Oh, dude, Circus. It's down. It just falls to pieces after the twist, and it's just like none of this works like this. Y'all should be better than this. Circus. Out the
I'm gonna go canon on the plot because it is like I said, it is a lot of pieces that work. Early on, it works. It just once it starts tumbling downhill, it goes really quickly. So I'm gonna give it a half and half. So I'm gonna give it a canon on there. Performances, acting. Jason, what would you give it?
I'm sorry, Mama, but Florence Pugh could definitely give head.
So you're giving it a head. Okay,
yeah,
all right. I'm right there with you. I'm gonna give it some head too for the performances. And then the last one is suspense and thrill. What would you give? Don't worry,
it's a circus. There's no suspense here. There's no thrill. There's no. It's literally, women shopping for like an hour and a half, and then it's over.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this some clown shoes here. This circus. This is definitely circus when it comes to that. So you gave it circus and circus.
And then I think CHC, baby.
I gave it a cannon head, and then I gave it a circus on that one. So 1 through 5, 5 being great, 1 being just terrible garbage. What would you give? Don't worry, darling.
I'll give it a 2. It's not bad, but it's not.
It's probably the lowest we've given a thing in a very long time. We've usually been knocking out the park lately.
A lot of stuff has been good lately, though, and this is the weekend where everything for me sucks.
Oh man, I can't wait to the next one. I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it a 2.5. So I'm gonna give it a 2.5 there, but I mean, not great as well. I do think it's some parts in here that work, and I do think it is worth it's worth a check out if you can get it on streaming when it eventually hits streaming.
If you get it free, why not watch it? But don't go pay $5 like I did.
Yeah. This definitely, yeah. Wouldn't ask for my money back, but I realized I wasted it.
Also, I think at the movie tavern, we pretty much owe them at this point.
Yeah.
They got us on. They got a tab like you got to pay your bar tab first. Then we'll give you a movie. We'll just deduct it from how much money you already owe us.
Right. Yes. Now it is the part of the show that we all enjoy, which is the end. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for listening to Headcanon Circus. Please remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook under Headcanon Circus. We're everywhere you want to be. I feel like that's a credit card thing that I just ripped off, but I'm just going to keep riding with it until they try to sue me for it.
Discover? American
Let's
Express.
go. If it's Discover, that's a trash card that we ain't got to worry about it. They ain't going to come for me. But the other two, they may come for us. They may send folks. But again, thank you all for listening. Remember to try to pick up the book club, Dungeons and Do-Rags by Ron Dawson. We're going to read that and hopefully get Mr. Dawson on the show on October 23rd to review his own work. So I'm hoping that I really, really enjoy it and Jason hates it. So when we get on the show, Jason can talk shit to him and I can be like, that ain't me, Ron. That ain't me. I love the Dungeons and Do-Rags. You come up, you bring me too. I love the Do-Rags.
Fuck that other Jason. Only me.
That hit word, man. That hit word. So yes, but please go join along with that. Other than that, Jason, you got any final words and comments?
Be kind, be considerate, and tip your bartenders and servers at least 20%, if not more, if you can afford it. And if you see Jared on the street, just give him a hug. He's been down lately. Just give him a hug.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Today is actually October the 5th. It is me and my wife's anniversary, 9 years strong. And shout out to Caitlin, Ryan's wife. It is Caitlin's birthday. I always say that my wife is savage, that we got married on her best friend's birthday. But it wasn't my decision, man. I just had to get down the aisle.
I was about to think you say, shout out to Caitlin, my mistress.
Oh,
she made these 5 years great, and these 9 years so easy to do.
All the back rubs, the shoulder rubs. I can do another 19. All because of you. Yeah. But thank you all for listening. We will see you all next week.